All right, we might get going just because I feel like we might have quite a few questions to get through based on past webinars that we've had. So yeah, I'd like to just welcome everyone this afternoon. As I mentioned, my name's Ashley. I am the engagement coordinator here at Student Living, and I'm joined by the wonderful Judy Lee, who works in our systems and occupancy and admission space. And I've got Kiara, who is one of our customer service gurus. I would like to let everyone know that the webinar is being recorded today, so we'll publish it online possibly tomorrow, so you can go back and review it if you need to double check any questions that we might have answered. But I would first like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which we're gathering, which is the Pambalong clan of the Awabakal people. They were the very first residents here, and I would like to extend my respect to elders past and present and acknowledge whichever lands you may be joining us from today. So, for those of you who may have come to the open day presentation, or maybe you haven't, I guess we want to just talk about why we do what we do here at Student Living, and that is absolutely to deliver an outstanding student experience to all residents living on campus. We have approximately 1,800 beds here between Callaghan and Aridma campuses, and all of the programming that we offer sort of shapes that experience. We have a team of about 20 people who work for Student Living, and their mission is to make life as easy and smooth as possible for each of the residents that live here. So that's everything from the warm welcome that you will receive on move-in day through to the customer service team when you come down to collect your mail, and all of the events and activities that we run for residents here on campus. We were very proud last year to have been awarded gold accreditation for our student experience, and that is benchmarked across a number of universities around Australia. So yeah, we got the highest possible rating and are very proud of that. We work really hard to ensure that the experience is fun, that it is safe, that there are learning opportunities for residents when they come to live on campus, and opportunities for leadership and development, and shaping a community that is grounded in relationships, and so you can find those lifelong friends when you live on campus. So that's just a little bit about what it is to be living at Student Living. But obviously our applications are opening soon for 2026, so I'm sure that lots of people have lots of questions. On questions, there is a Q&A box at the bottom. I'm happy if you start populating your questions in there now, and we will have an opportunity to answer those at the end. But I might just run through a couple of key pieces of information that you'll need to know for application opening day. So we have 3 living environments that you can opt to live in, and that will be the very first step in your application process. So we have single gender, which means you'll be allocated in an apartment or a block with people of the same gender for which you nominate. We have quiet living, which is a lower sort of social scale, less noise, less alcohol consumption. And then we have general, which is the majority of the community. And if we go to the next slide, that sort of gives you a bit of a picture of what areas of student living are under each of those living environments. Obviously, they're subject to availability and change, in particular with the single gender. If we have the demand, we will endeavour to find groups of students that fit that criteria. And I'm sure you're probably looking at the map if you haven't already had a look at the different residences for your options. There is quite a lot on that map, but we're going to take you through the individual residences just to give you an idea of what's on offer. So I might hand over to Kiara, who's going to talk you through the first few residential options for you here on campus.
Okay, thanks, Ash. Hi, everyone. My name is Kiara. As Ash mentioned, I work for customer service at Student Living, and I previously lived on campus as well. So there are plenty of different options depending on what you're looking for in your accommodation. our Barra Band accommodation is completely studios. So you can either choose to live by yourself or choose to have a roommate. You can nominate each other as roommates if you would like to. We'll go through that later on. The Barra accommodation is fit with your own kitchen, room, and bathroom. And as you can see in the photo, the study desks are in there as well, with air conditioning and yeah, a kitchen there. So it is self-catered as well. Go to the next one. Cool. So we have our Edwards Hall accommodation. They're more of a dormitory style living environment for our main hall. So there's two types of Edwards Hall accommodation. One are shared apartments, which are self-catered as they have their own kitchens. And then the other type of accommodation are the dormitory style Edwards Hall accommodation. They are catered because they don't have full kitchens in the dorms. There are small kitchenettes with just like a sink, a fridge, microwave, but it's not enough to be a full kitchen. So dinners are provided for residents who live on the main hall accommodation for Edwards Hall. And yeah, along the bottom there, you can see there's self-catered options or catered options. There's also a swimming pool. And yeah, the dining hall comes under Edwards Hall as well. Go to the next one. Cool. So Evatt House, you'll probably find that most of our accommodation looks kind of like what this photo looks like. So you've got your bed, a desk. You'll have your own bedroom. The shared apartments, you'll always have your own bedroom. It'll just be a shared kitchen, living, and dining area. So yeah, Evatt looks exactly like that photo. There is air conditioning at Evatt, and the cat room is like their common room where everyone on Evatt can kind of get together as well. And
I'll just jump in there, Kiara, confirming
yeah,
that the reference to air conditioning at Evatt House is in the common spaces. So there is further information on each of, oh, sorry, Judy. There is further information on the heating and cooling options for each residence on the website. You might just need to mute and unmute again because you've just gone a little bit haywire. No, that's okay. I might pick it up. Do you want to jump off and maybe jump back on? Is that okay? Thanks, Kiara. So I'll pick up from here. International House is very similar to Evatt House in that they're shared apartments, so single bedroom in shared apartments. They are self-catered. They have the portable heaters that you can bring into the room. And International House does also have our one of our other swimming pools. So yeah, as Kiara mentioned, there's one at Edwards Hall and there is one at International House. So 5 and 10 shares options at International House. If we want to go to the next one, please, Judy. So north, south, east, and west. These are our newest accommodations. So they're the towers that were built in 2015, sorry. They have the widest variety of options when it comes to room types. So we have self-contained studios, which are single occupancy. We have 1-bedroom apartments, which can be single or couple occupancy. And then we have 2, 5, and 6-bedroom apartments. So single bedroom with the shared living, bathroom, and dining facilities. They are self-catered because all of them have kitchen facilities. On each of the floors and within each of the buildings, there are different study and common room spaces. Our North Tower has like a bigger commercial kitchen. East Tower has a cinema. West Tower is lucky because they get the student living team, and South have one of the bigger common rooms as well. So Each floor has common spaces on it, and they all have study spaces, dedicated study spaces as well, with like desks and little pods where people can go to do single or group study work. Kiara, are you back online?
I hope so.
Yeah, there you are.
Okay, we've made it back.
Do you want to cover Blue Gum House for us, please?
Sure. Blue Gum House is our accommodation at our Ourimbah campus on the Central Coast. So the rest of the accommodation that we just ran through is all on our Callaghan campus. We do have a smaller accommodation down on the Central Coast for students attending that campus over there as well. Single room, ensuite in a shared apartment, similar layout to what we would have seen, except there are en-suites in those rooms.
Thank you so much. And we are obviously in the stages of bringing online a new development at Honeysuckle that's anticipated for 2027 as well. And that will be in the city of, in the Newcastle CBD. As Kiara mentioned with Edwards Hall, if you're in Main Hall, because there are only the kitchenette facilities, dinner is included in your room fees. For selfies or any other area that is self-catered, you can opt in to get hot meals every night for dinner, 5-7 nights a week, or even just a casual meal. I know that's kind of important. I think a lot of parents tend to sign their children up for that meal plan, just so they have that reassurance that they're going to receive at least one hot meal a day that's not noodles. So yes, everyone can opt into the meal plan, and there is a variety of options covering dietary requirements, etc. And that will be received at the dining hall, which is located as part of Edwards Hall. So moving along, Judy, I might get you to cover our contract terms. So for new residents this year, you will not have experienced this version of our contract terms. We have a new academic calendar as a university in 2026, so we've had to adjust our accommodation terms. But yeah, there may be some questions around this, but Judy, I'll let you cover that.
Hi everyone and welcome to our webinar. As Ash mentioned, my name is Judy. I work in the occupancy and admission space, so it will be my pleasure to take you through the different contract term that we've got on offer. So basically, as you can see, there's 3 terms that we've got on offer here. The main one will be the full year offering, which is long stay or standard stay. And then we also got the single semester one. Under the long stay and the standard stay, the major difference is the mid-year session hold. So under the long stay, it will start from the 17th of January, go all the way through to the 29th of November with no breaks. So there's no requirement to move out and you are contracted for the whole period. If you are selecting the standard stay, what that means is that you're still checking on the 17th of January. But during the mid-year session, there will be a period from the 18th of May to the end of July where you can lock your belonging in the room and returning your keys. So you can store your belonging here, but not physically living on site, and coming back to join us for semester 2, and the contract will end on the 29th of November. During the mid-year session hold, the room is discounted at 50% rate. Then a single semester contract will start on the 17th of January and finish on the 10th of May. And we've got semester 2 contracts starting on the 10th of August, go all the way to the end of November. Yep.
Thanks, Judy.
Okay. Yeah. So we mentioned about the different contract term, and these are the residence location that we have. And I think Ash have run through the different living environments. So what you can see on here, unfortunately, not all room type or location will be offered across the 3 different contract type. So for example, Barahinaban here will only be offered it under single semester. And then the living environment on offer there is that you can either select general or quiet living. Whereas somewhere like International House, it's available across the 3 different contract type, and it has general living environment, quiet living, and single gender living on offer as well. Yeah.
And there may be some questions around the mid-year session. Obviously, we have some knowledge around that, but that is definitely an academic element to university life. The mid-year session hold is because some people may need to undertake placements during that time. They might want to go traveling during that time. So yeah, in line with the new academic calendar, we've just had to make some changes to the offering from a contracts perspective. But Judy, do you want to talk about how to request a roommate or a housemate?
Yes, thank you, Ash. So the major difference between a roommate and a housemate is that a roommate is someone that you're wanting to share a bedroom with. So that could be in relation to Barahina band that we saw a little bit earlier, where the beds can be joined together into a king bed, and that's suitable for maybe living with a partner, like a couple, or the bed can be split apart where you're actually sharing the room with a friend or a sister or someone that you know. But during this process, you can nominate a roommate request. If you selected a certain room type that allows it, then another question will pop up and it will ask you to nominate your roommate. A housemate's a little bit different. It's someone that you might want to nominate to live in a share apartment with. So not physically, not typically in your bedroom, but someone to share an apartment with. So we don't ask for that question in the application process. It is something that you can provide a little bit later when you have received and accepting an offer. So once you sort of worked out that you've received an offer and you're happy to accept it, and maybe your friend has also received the same location as a bit of an offer, then it's quite possible that we'll be able to place you near one another, and that's where you do your housemate request a little bit later on in the process. Yeah. Finance. So during application, there is a $100 non-refundable application fee that you need to pay to finalise the application. But if you were to receive an offer and you've gone ahead and wanting to accept it, there is some fees that you need to pay to secure the accommodation. So fees payable is the room deposit, which is like a housing deposit or a housing bond, which is 4 times the weekly rate of the room type that you've been offered it for. We also charge 2 weeks of room fees in advance. Room fees are like rent in advance, so like rents. And then a community levy. A community levy full year cost is $550 and a single semester cost is $300. So it all depends on the contract term that you are wanting to sign up for. Once you accepted an offer, we do generally send out information about direct debit information. So what that is all about is the way we collect room fees on campus is they are charged under a fortnightly cycle. And there's a way that you can set up a credit card which allow you to pay automatically, where we direct debit your card on the list of days that it's all on the schedule there. Yeah. Otherwise, its payment is due every fortnight, and that's just the cycle that we get into. Also, just another thing to note is that account information is relevant to the contract holder only. So unless we're authorized, any of the staff is authorized, we're often not allowed to share information about the contract or the account. So if you're paying for your child, or you're paying into the student's account and you're interested to know about the status or account balance or anything we can help you with, then there is a form where the student can fill in to allow to let us know that you're authorized to ask about the account balance and things like that. And then once we receive that information, then we can help from there. Yeah.
Thanks, Judy. In terms of 2026 room fees, we're just finalising those at the moment, and they will be online in the coming weeks. But there are 2025 room fees currently up for each accommodation offering, which you can use as a sort of a guide for what next year may be. Also, as part of the application process, there is the option for a medical disclosure. So it's really important that we're aware of any circumstances that could influence your living experience. Judy, if you just wanted to go to the next slide, please. So we have a medical practitioner report. So that gives you the opportunity to let us know about any disability, any health, or any medical conditions that you may have and you may need to disclose with us. When it comes through to the application process, there's a little checkbox. So you'll check that box, and then you'll receive an automated email where you can disclose that information. And so you're welcome to share other relevant documentation that might impact your needs or your residents' preferences, and you can do that via a direct email to our student living support inbox, which is where you'll receive the automatic response from. Do you want to just go to the next slide, Judy, please? So obviously this information is kept confidential, and it's only used to help us make appropriate room allocations and make sure that you're supported during your time here on campus. So I don't know if the presentation's moving, Judy. We're stuck on finance for new applicants.
Oh, okay. We might just stop share and share again and see if we can go, because I have moved on and we are at what to bring.
No worries. If you could do that, and then Kiara will cover what to bring when you move in. And I might just say that we'll likely have another webinar later towards the end of the year where we'll cover off in more detail moving on to campus and whatnot once people receive offers. So Kiara.
No worries. So in general, the main things that are provided are the bigger things in the kitchen. So there's just the fridge, the stove, the oven. Everything else you pretty much need to bring yourself. So plates, bowls, cutlery, pots, pans, things to cook with. For your bedroom, you need to bring your own sheets, pillow. A lot of residents choose to keep a mini fridge in their room. If you would like to, it's pretty popular on the Edwards main hall to keep a mini fridge in your room to cater for your own breakfast and lunch, because dinners are provided, but for your breakfast and lunch, you might want to keep a mini fridge in your room. Drying rack as well. There are laundries and washing lines spread all around campus. I did see one question in the chat about laundries. Yeah, there's plenty of laundries all around campus. Each of the towers have one laundry, and there are laundries spread all throughout the International House Evatt and Edwards Hall. So you'll be able to access those and scan and pay through a QR code to use the laundry and the washing machines and the dryers. Fans, a lot of people like to bring their own fans to their rooms. But yeah, toiletries, yeah, pretty much everything that you'll need, all of your personal items that you'll need to bring yourself. And yeah, another thing that I will mention is the res shop. So at the end of the year, we have a lot of students move off campus and leave things to give to future residents. So usually we just ask for a donation to a charity, and then you can just take whatever plates, bowls, cutlery, pots and pans have been left by previous residents. So that's also an option to use those things. There are a few things that you are not allowed to bring, and that's other large furniture pieces such as mattresses. You can't hang hammocks in your room, or if you're in the towers, on the balcony. No candles or air diffusers or air conditioning units. Just for safety reasons, we can't have everyone bringing those things. But yes, on our website, there's a more thorough list that you can read through.
Thanks, Kiara. So I guess we'll move into the question and answer portion of the webinar. That's kind of covered off as much information as we can in the right now, but I will go through. I've got a few questions in there, so I might just start going through them. And as I mentioned, you're welcome to continue to pop them in that Q&A box. So there's a question about the kitchen facilities in Edwards Hall and what they may be and how they're shared. So as we mentioned, main hall has kitchenettes. People will bring in air fryers, sandwich presses. We provide hot water and toasters in those spaces. People will come and go using them. And as Kiara mentioned, we recommend you bringing your own sort of pots and plates and bowls and whatnot. Otherwise, we do encourage our residents to make housemate agreements. So if that question is relating to a shared apartment in Edwards Hall, in the first few weeks of living on campus, our residential mentors will guide all residents through a housemate agreement, and that kind of just sets a baseline for what's expected of everyone living in the share. Who's taking the bins out? There might be a roster for that. Who's buying the toilet paper? There might be a roster for that. Are people okay if someone uses their tomato sauce or what that might look like? So we really encourage them to be independent in that decision-making process and what is used and shared between people in that space. But yeah, in self-catered Edwards Hall, there's ovens, microwaves, whatnot, and they will be shared. They're kind of open to everyone. Typically, people will have a dedicated cupboard or shelf in the fridge or shelf in the freezer, and that's something that the residents navigate themselves in the first few weeks of living on campus. Judy, I might get you to answer this next one about how do joint applications for couples and dual occupancy. How do you do a joint application?
Someone that's wanting to share a room will be a roommate, as I mentioned before. So each of the applicant or each of the person will submit their own application. So during application, you can select the relevant room type which will allow you to share a bed or bedroom with someone as a dual occupancy. And then there will be a question that pops up once you selected the relevant room type to say, okay, can you nominate your roommate? And that's where you can put down their names. And upon receiving that, and the other person needs to do the same and apply and nominate each other as roommate, basically. Upon receiving that, we will then assess the time of the application, and we will try to place the two students or the two applicants together in that same room.
Thanks, Judy. So someone has asked in relation to early entry. So you got early entry in 2024, but you deferred it. Do I apply on the early entry date or the new resident date? So since you deferred your early entry option, early entry program offer, you will need to apply as part of the new applicant process. So we only focus on the current year of early entry program. So yes, the new residence date, which is the 25th of September. I have some questions around, sorry. Could you please clarify the laundry situation? So yes, as Kiara mentioned, there is laundry. There are laundry facilities in each of the residences. It's a program run by an external provider, but essentially they would load credit onto an account and use that to wash and dry. So there's washers and dryers at each of the residences. Judy, so there's a couple of questions around what's the deadline for offers and when is the last round of accommodation offers? Can you just talk through the process of when offers are released and how that looks, please?
Okay, thanks, Ash. So new application open on the 25th of September. Then we start preparing offer, and our first round offer will go out on the 13th of October. like I mentioned, once you get your offer, there is some contract you need to sign and to understand, the room type that you've been offered it to, and there are some fees that are payable. So the acceptance of the first round offer will fall on Sunday, the 26th of October. So there generally is a couple of weeks that we let you walk through the acceptance, and we highly encourage anyone that has received or will receive an offer in the future to do so, and accept the accommodation offer a little bit earlier, so that if they encounter any issues, they can contact our office for some assistance, and not to have that stress of leaving that to the very last day, and then thinking that is that going to be okay for the next day. Yeah. We also have round two offer commencing on the 12th of November. And then generally it will be due in a couple of weeks' time, when the acceptance will be should be finalized. And then after round two, we start doing what we call rolling offers. Is if there's any vacancy that or any offer that's been declined, that we can move on to a new person on our wait list, we'll do so. And that there's no set time for that. They'll just continue to be pumped out, I guess, as we have vacancy.
Thank you, Judy. So, Kiara, I might get you to answer this question. Do preferences go towards more senior students, or do students moving from other towns or regions? So could you speak to the like how we assess applications, please?
Yeah, sure. So not necessarily for senior students, we don't have any kind of priority schemes in that way, but definitely for students coming from more regional areas. So on our website, we have certain postcodes that will, if you live too close to the university, you won't be considered, or you won't be prioritized. Whereas if you're coming from further away or from a rural area, you'll be prioritized as a rural student. We don't have that many priority schemes. It's really just, if you're out of area, you'll be considered an out of area applicant, and we'll try and prioritize your application, just to acknowledge that you are coming from a distance away. Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm just looking at if I can answer any more. There were a few questions about what's included in the rent. I can cover that as well. I saw a few questions about asking about the internet, electricity, water bills. Everything like that is included in your rent, so you don't have to pay separate bills. The Wi-Fi, electricity, water is all included in the same rent. And if you're living on Edwards Main Hall, your meals are included in that one price as well.
Thank you. And yeah, I think there's another question around what the internet situation is like. So it's across the board, it's university owned and operated, or university operated internet there. So I do have a couple of questions around, am I allowed to bring and use my own mattress? So I believe this one if there is a medical disclosure and a reason why you need to have your own mattress, I would check that medical disclosure box, and then you can provide some further information about why you may need to bring your own mattress. But typically they're all provided for you. We give new mattress protectors out each year to each of the rooms. But yeah, if you do have a reason for needing to bring your own mattress, please do let us know through that medical disclosure. That's kind of what it means when it's not, there's a bit of it's quite a broad spectrum of reasoning of maybe providing that medical disclosure. I've got a question around here. So there's one about, does the mid-year session break align exactly with the university semester break? Yes, it does, I believe. Judy, you're probably best to speak to that one.
I believe so, yes. So it does. And what it looks for is, I think it's closely aligned, if it is not exactly the same. Yeah.
No worries. Someone has asked around what the application process will involve and will it ask them questions, etc. So it's quite a step-by-step process. Kiara, I might get you to speak a little bit to what, like how you move through that application process.
So the application it should guide you through quite smoothly when you open it. The first thing it will ask you to choose is what type of contract you want, whether you want standard stay, long stay, or 1 semester contract. And then it will feed you through to what type of living environment you were after, general, quiet, or gendered living. And then the last step will ask you for what are your 4 preferences of where you would like to live, and it will show you exactly what's available under that contract type and living environment type that you've chosen. And you'll need to put what you're wanting, your first preference, put what you want the most. And then if we can't give you that, we'll move through your second, third, and fourth preference until we can offer you something. And yeah, that's pretty much all you'll need to know. And then the last step will be to pay the application fee, which be the $100 fee. There were a few questions around how it works. We don't really have a lot of priority schemes. The main thing is just getting in as early as possible and applying. On the 25th at 10 a.m. whenever the applications are open, just applying as soon as you can. The applications are time-stamped, and that is how we work through them. So if you can get in and apply as soon as possible, that's the main thing that you need to do.
Thanks, Kiara. And I'm just looking for I'm looking at a couple of questions around like how many offers go out compared to how many applications we receive. So I'll probably give a blanket statement here. We will definitely receive more applications than we do have rooms available. So I would suggest in terms of getting your application in as early as possible when they open on the 25th of September at 10 a.m. We have a wait list, so we do rolling offers throughout after the official rounds, and I would absolutely encourage people to submit an accommodation application even before an offer of study has been accepted. Our timelines work differently to the university, so some people will receive and accept their accommodation offer before they actually receive their offer of study. You can always terminate your contract even after you've accepted it. Judy, I might get you to just touch quickly on the termination process if that's possible.
Yeah, no worries. So once you have accepted your booking and your contract, there is, and things change, and before you move in, there is an opportunity to cancel 3 weeks or more before the contract start date, and you'll get all fees refunded except for the $100 application fee, and the only other thing we'll charge you is a termination fee of $250. It's a little bit different once the contract has started or you are terminating closer to the start date, where we will look at charging you 3 weeks notice. So 3 weeks written notice is required. And then room fees may be charged to you because it will cut into the contract period. And a termination fee will be assessed. So the termination fees will be determined based on the length of your contract that you have left at the time of the termination. So I think if the closer to say there's only 1 month left of the contract, the cost is about $250. If there's 2 months or more, the cost will be $500. And then if there's 3 months or more, the cost will be $750. That process I'm describing is something that is after the fact that the contract has started, or if you're during the term of you living here, you've decided to maybe I need to leave a little bit earlier. So if you are a bit unsure and you've accepted something, I think it will be most economical for you to advise us as soon as you know. And 3 weeks before the contract's due to start will be the easiest way to break your contract and have the most refund as possible.
Oop, sorry, I was on mute. Thanks, Judy. So I've got a question here about the quiet living areas. Are there still organised social events and a good culture, or do people tend to stay in their room? They absolutely organise social events, and how much you participate definitely depends on your own personal preference. So North Tower is our completely dedicated quiet living area. They have a good group of committee leaders at the moment this year who have worked on putting together music nights, nights like dinners out. They definitely participate in social events. They're that are sort of a bit. It's a different kind of social experience, absolutely. But yeah, definitely things that you can get involved in, and you won't just stay in your room unless that's what you wish. So I've got a couple of questions. So I'll answer one about early entry program because there may be some people on here that have questions around that. If you receive and the guaranteed accommodation element, if you receive a round one early entry program offer, you will receive communications around an application process for accommodation, and there will be steps in that where if you complete that in the dedicated time, etc., you will receive a guaranteed accommodation place for next year. If you don't receive an early entry round one offer, or if you've never lived on campus before, you will absolutely be a new resident and you will go through the application process on Thursday, the 25th of September at 10 a.m. I've got a couple of questions also around the contract start and finishing dates. Judy, I might get you to speak to that if you can, which is, can you speak to people moving in a bit later after move-in date? So move-in date this year is the 17th, sorry, next year is the 17th of January. But what about if people need to move in a little bit later? And does the contract go all the way to cover the end of exams at the end of the year?
Thanks, Ash. So in terms of the contract, your contract will commence on the 17th of January, and that's when you're committed to the room from. So unfortunately, checking in later will be fine, but the room is liable. So room fee does start from the 17th of January. And what we recommend is that the students and the resident to come in very close to the start time to get the best onboarding experience with the, the wonderful events that we'll be running during that Rest Life during that orientation period. In terms of the contract end date, it's closely aligned with the university semester 2 date, the end date of it, and I believe that's closely aligned with the exams time as well. Yep.
Thanks, Judy. Sorry, I'm just trying to type some answers to some of these questions as well, given that we've got quite a few still here. Can we please, sorry, I'm just looking, they've just changed. Kiara, could I get you to speak, please, to the sharing aspect, touch on that a little bit again? So who you'll be sharing with, is it people of similar ages or is it just kind of randomly assigned?
We don't necessarily, like as part of our applications, we don't necessarily sort our accommodation based on the ages of our applicants. It's just what their preferences are and what they've requested. So it's people who have requested the same living environment as you have. So it isn't necessarily about the different ages. It's just whether or not they've requested the same general living environment, quiet living environment, or gendered living environment. The age is not a factor. I did see one other question asking about roommates as well. If you don't request a housemate, we will assign those housemates for you. So if you're living in a 5-share apartment and you don't request anyone, we will organise your housemates for you. You don't need to do anything about that. There also were a few questions about the cleaning. Cleaners are included in your rent as well. So every week, a cleaner will come around and tend to your kitchen and your common areas. So your kitchen, your living room, bathrooms. They won't go into your bedrooms, but the general spaces in the apartments are that cleaning is included in your rent as well.
And you don't, I've seen that someone has also asked, do you need to bring a vacuum and other cleaning supplies? There are cleaning supplies and vacuums within common spaces of the each of the areas. So you will use that vacuum to vacuum your own space. But I suppose any personal cleaning products that you would like to use, absolutely bring that one along. Um, I've got a question about guests. So if your partner or if you have a guest that you would like to come and stay with you, we have a guest policy. They need to be registered on our accommodation portal, and there's more information on that in the welcome pack that people will get upon receiving their offer and moving onto campus. So yes, they can stay. It's one night during the week and 2 nights over the weekend. And yeah, they just need to be registered and they must stay with the resident at all times. There's a couple of questions around the mid-year session hold and knowing which which accommodation option to choose if you don't know what what your academic is. Sorry, I'm not wording this right. What your study looks like during that mid-year session. I'm unsure, and we're unsure over here of what each individual degree offers during that mid-year session. But there is the opportunity to change your contract from a standard stay to a long stay, pending that it is in a living environment that has availability. So Judy, I might get you to just touch on that if that's okay, because I think you can explain it better than I can.
I'll give it a go. Yeah. So again, we touch on that, there is that ability to do the standard stay contract with the mid-year session hold. They're best suited for someone if you sort of know that you don't need to stick around during the mid-year hold period. Those of you, of course, we understand that sometimes your study might change or you might have picked up some employment in Newcastle and want to stick around. That's all fine. There will be an opportunity during the course of semester one where we'll reach out to current resident to offer them an opportunity to request an extension. Can I stay during the break? Can I change my contract term? And we'll look at possibility of helping these guys out. So it's not uncommon to us, and we actually get quite a bit of requests like that during the year. And where we can, absolutely, we'll help you out. But like Ash just mentioned, sometime if you're in a resident that doesn't offer long stay, for example, there may be an opportunity where we could extend you, but a room move may be required. So you might need to remove to a long stay area or where we can offer long stay. Yeah.
Thank you, Judy. I'm just going to keep going down to cover some. I'm also typing answers as we go. So trying to get through all of these questions. Why can we not bring air diffusers? So that's just due to setting off the sort of smoke and fire alarms that we have in the precinct. Also, the combination of water and electricity can be risky. So that's why we don't allow those ones.
I can see a few about early entry if I can just answer those quickly.
Yeah, that would be great.
The early entry, if you are successful in applying for early entry, I'm aware that there are a few schemes. If you're currently in year 12, you might be applying for the school recommendation scheme, the early entry program. If you applied for the early entry program and you're successful, that means that you do have a guaranteed accommodation offer. There is a separate application that you need to fill in to claim your guaranteed accommodation, and it's not the 25th of September. It's a separate application, and if you're successful with your early entry, you'll be emailed separately the information on how to apply to make sure that you get that guaranteed offer. And just keeping in mind that the guaranteed offer that we send you, it may not we'll send you something and that's guaranteed, but it might not be your exact preferences if we don't have them available anymore. But I've just seen, oh yeah, so one more question that I'm reading right now. Still, if you don't have your offer, still apply. If you don't have your offer for your bachelor degree, whatever degree, still apply for accommodation, because if you wait until December, that's way past how long we would have been giving out offers for months by the time you applied then. So even if you don't have your offer to study, still apply on the 25th of September. You can apply without your offer to study.
Yeah, and someone had just asked about what money they would lose. So yes, it would just be that non-refundable $100 application fee, and then if you're accepting, I think Judy's covered off the termination fees. There is more information on termination fees in the application guides, and they're located on our website as well, so you can access that information there. So early entry program, you'll receive communications when you receive your early entry program offer, and that will be earlier than that. Your applications for accommodation will be earlier than the 25th of September, but you will receive that dedicated piece of communications via email. I think that we've covered that one off. Is on campus running? I can answer that one. I can type that one. If we withdraw from our accommodation offer more than 3 weeks before the course starts, does that mean we would lose the $100 application fee and the termination fee? Judy, is that one correct?
Yep. So any cancellation 3 weeks or more before the contract start date can be cancelled, and you'll lose the $100 application fee, as well as a termination fee of $250. Yep, that's correct.
Thank you. I've got a question around the move-in date being so early this year. That's because of the academic calendar change. So normally we would have moved in February, but because classes will start on the 27th of January, it just means that people will need to move in a bit earlier. A little bit, so I had to. Obviously, we've only got a few more minutes left of the webinar, and I'm worried that it's going to cut off at the end at 5 p.m. So if you do have any further questions, please contact Student Living at studentliving@newcastle.edu.au. But there are quite a few questions around the different contract terms, Judy. So I might just get you to touch again on the difference between the standard stay, the single stay. Can we maybe go back to the slide that has the different contract terms on it? That might be a bit helpful, please.
You might need to reshare again. I don't know if the slide's working. While Judy's doing that, I've seen about a few questions about people who've taken a gap year last year. If you took a gap year last year and you had an early entry offer, it's no longer a guaranteed offer, and you'll need to reapply as a new applicant. The early entry program is a specific program that you needed to apply for, so you will know if you got early entry or not. I have a few people asking, did I get early entry? You would know because you would have applied for specifically through the early entry program for an early entry offer. You may have just applied through the general application admission scheme with the university. That's not specifically the early entry program. The early entry program is only if you're currently in year 12 and you're going into university next year. So if you've taken a gap year, you won't be under the early entry program anymore.
Thanks, Kiara. So just going through the contract terms again. So basically there's 3 contract terms on offer. So what we have is, I think the clearest way to understand it is that option 1 and 2, which is your long stay and your standard stay, it's pretty much your full year contract. And then option 3 being single semester is semester 1, starting from the 17th of January, ending on the 10th of May, or semester 2 starting from the 10th of August and running through to the end of November. Under your full year offering, which is option 1 or 2, long stay and standard stay has the same contract start date and have the same contract end date as well, go all the way through to the end of November. The main difference is that the long stay contract, there's no breaks. You don't need to leave the resident. You can enjoy living here all year round from the 17th of January right through to the end of November. There's no need to check out or vacate the room during the mid-year session period or when you're on break from uni, basically. Under option 2, you can do standard stay with the mid-year session hold. So it's best suited for someone who might be doing a semester 1 study and then looking to travel in the mid-year session. So yes, it'll be nice to hold the room, and we can do that under the mid-year session, and returning into SAM 2 and not using the room itself, being you living there. So you're checking at the same time, but between the 18th of May to the 31st of July, the room is actually locked up. So there's no need to check out the room. But what you're required to do is you would tidy up the room and return the key to our office. And the room is on hold during this period, which is the 18th of May to the 31st of July at a discounted rate of 50%. So after that period has ended, the student will come back on campus and enjoy their SAM2 accommodation. And this is when you'll check in again and grab your keys and stay here until the 29th of November. So the major difference is one is you don't need to, your room won't be on hold and you can live here continuously throughout the year or during the contract term. Option 2 is a standard stay where during the mid-year session period, there's a hold to your room where we can hold your room at a discounted rate, but you are to return your key and you don't actually live here. But your belonging can be here, but you're not on site. Yeah.
Thanks, Judy. I think that's answered a few questions in there. I just wanted to touch on one about security, because I know that's an important one for parents and caregivers. So we have 24/7 security guards at the university, and we have a dedicated team of what we call after hours duty officers. So when our team here at Student Living clock off at 5 o'clock, they're here to monitor the community through into the early hours of the morning. So yeah, we have dedicated team members. They're an extension of the Student Living team. They're a wonderful group of people who provide pastoral care. They're trained in extra sort of mental health first aid response, and they can provide, you know, your typical general first aid as well. Most of our after hours duty officers know our community by names. So they're on a first name basis. So they've built really good relationships with our community over the years. In terms of physical security, everyone will receive swipe access on their student card for their buildings and key access for their doors, depending on where their location, where they're living. I'm just conscious that we've probably only got a couple more minutes. If anyone I might get you to go to the how to apply slide, Judy, because it's just got the information about where to go. All of this information is in our on our web pages and also in our application guides, which is on the Student Living pages of the University of Newcastle website. So if you just Google Student Living University of Newcastle, will come up. But accommodation applications open on Thursday, the 25th of September at 10 a.m. for new residents. And that URL at the top is where you'll go. So newcastle.edu.au/accommodation portal. It hasn't kicked us off yet. It's just turned over 5 o'clock and it hasn't kicked us off. So I might just answer a few more questions and then I'll type responses to as many as I can. But obviously, if you have further questions, you are more than welcome to send us an email, studentliving@newcastle.edu.au. I might just quickly go through. Kiara, did you see anything that any groups of or themes that we could speak to?
there's a few around how long after applying will you hear back? Maybe Judy, if you could touch on that.
Sure. So first round offer for new students or new applicant will commence on the 13th of October. That's when you will start hearing from us. If you were successful with your application, you will start getting your offer. Um, Basically, offer is not automated, so it does take some time to get through the numbers that we need to send. So generally, offer will be sent from the 13th of October. It might go for a few days until we can finish all the offer being sent on that week. Regardless of whether you're successful or not, you will generally hear from us, even if you're not successful, just to let you know that, hey, it's okay, you've been waitlisted for now, but we'll have future rounds of offer a bit later on.
Thanks, Judy. I think we've covered some of those ones. And yes, you can swap. I think we've mentioned that as well. If you find out that you need to, if you've got placement and need to swap to a standard stay rather than the long stay, there is that flexibility as well. But I think that there's just been a few more questions coming in. One of the key pieces of advice that we can offer is getting your application in as soon as possible, and making sure that you submit an accommodation application even before your offer of study, because we run at different times. So you will have received and accepted your accommodation offer if you receive one prior to accepting your study offer sometimes. But yeah, there is further information on our website. So I encourage you to have a look at that. There's some new application guides that detail a bit more information about the different contract types, the termination, and a few other pieces of information. I might wrap the webinar up there. Thank you so much, Judy and Kiara. I'll go through and answer the questions that are remaining. Hopefully it lets me do that. But yeah, if you have any further questions, please feel free to contact Student Living, and we'll answer them. So have a good night, everyone. Thank you so much.
Thanks everyone for joining.